Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another action-packed episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I'm your host, Brent Piles, and with me, as always, is my tag team partner from across the ocean and from the future. Here's the ballroom brawling disco dance tonight in my stretching intercontinental playboy, folks. He's more over than having all 11 guys on the field during a soccer match. At GA Wrestling, Glenn Abbott. Glenn, how you doing?
And I'm not in bad a mood as some people are from last night.
I see some people weren't happy that maybe they only scored one goal, but I think you're playing in the Champions League, and the reason why they call it the Champions League is because it's the League of Champions. So therefore, I think any win, whether it's a 1-0 win or a 2-0, whatever, I think it's a win. So I'll take 3 points all day, every day. Thank you.
They were on to a hiding to nothing last night. Because even we had it on Amazon Prime Video.
Yeah.
And even their commentary teams were going on about how brave the Ukrainians were for being there and everything. So win or lose, Arsenal were over a hiding last night.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, no, I don't really have a problem with the 1-0 win yesterday either. I mean, did they look the best they've ever looked? No. But also at the same time, we all need to remember that we are not only missing our captain and one of our best players, we're missing two of our best players, and probably our two biggest playmakers are not on the field. And I think you realize, especially during the Bournemouth game, that it's really hard without Erdegaard. It's really hard. It's fucking almost impossible for us without Erdegaard and Saka.
It's sad that they're both still going to be out for the Liverpool game.
I keep seeing back and forth stuff on Saka because yesterday, after the post-match interview, apparently Mikel said that Saka hadn't even been training yet and that it was more than likely he was not going to be available on Sunday. But then I just read something that said that they expect Saka to be available on Sunday. And Mikel's not one of those people that's really extremely forthcoming with injury reports. He's very vague, so you never know with what he says.
Well, that's understandable as well, because if he'd been saying half of what the so-called experts were saying, he would have been declaring him fit for last night, and then him not showing up, he would have been done for that. So.
Even if he were fit yesterday to play, I didn't want to see him on the pitch yesterday at all anyway, so I'm fine with him not playing. I didn't think they should have put him in anyway. So my only complaint is that they didn't put Winari on. I think that kid has proven every single time that he comes on, he's like a fucking lightning strike every time we put him on. And so that's my only thing is I don't know why they don't put him on more, because I think he's proven that he's ready to play amongst the starting 11. I think with the way the team is set up now, especially with the injuries, this would be a perfect time for him to get in there. So I was happy with the way Lewis Scally played yesterday. And to be honest with you, at this point, I think I'd rather have him out there than Kibior or Zevchenko at this point. I'd rather have Lewis Scally out there. I really would.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. I've seen for a long while from him.
I guess we'll see what happens on Sunday, but
yeah, that's when we won't be talking to a certain Mr. Dan Griffin.
It's funny because I'm gonna have to dislike two of my friends this weekend because the mayor is an Ohio State fan and the Cornhuskers play Ohio State this weekend.
Oh,
and
no!
Of course, our buddy Dan Griffin is a Liverpool fan, and so we won't like Dan this weekend either.
Anyway, let's get on with something we do like. Well, I liked and you didn't.
Yes. Raw is War from March the 9th, 1998 in the Wheeling Civic Center in Wheeling, West Virginia. Now known as the West Banco Arena, opened in April 19th of 1977. This arena is in West Virginia, so that means it's hosted stuff like Larry the Cable Guy and Jeff Dunham, as well as Monster Jam. I think the most cultured thing that ever took place at this arena, Glenn, was Elton John performed there in 2012. So there's that.
All right.
Wrestling-wise, this arena has held many episodes of Superstars, a very famous episodes of Superstars, in fact, from October the 2nd, where a man named John Tenta was pulled from the crowd during a push-up competition and made his World Wrestling Federation debut and graced us all with the most handsome wrestler of all time, of course, Handsome Earthquake.
Oh, yeah. I bet there was some swooning women in the crowd that night.
There was lots of
seeing that all that handsomeness suddenly get into the ring.
Definitely. It also held the WCW Nitro where Kevin Nash made his WCW, I guess you could say, re-debut as a member of the NWO. So it had
thank God for that.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Oz for a minute there.
No Oz. Yeah. Yeah, so besides there's not a whole lot going on at this arena besides some minor league hockey games. So if you find yourself in Wheeling, West Virginia, I just want you to look around and ask yourself, why the fuck are you in Wheeling, West Virginia, and just go home. Some interesting things I found about a couple of dark matches from this show, Glenn, is a man named Sean Morley defeated Matt Hardy. Do you know who Sean Morley is, Glenn?
Is that Val Venus?
You are correct. That would go on. He would go on to be Val Venus. So he wrestled in a dark match against Matt Hardy. And Adam Copeland was defeated by Flash Funk. And, of course, you'll know Adam Copeland is Edge.
The rated R superstar.
I believe they call him Adam Copeland in AEW now, don't they?
Yeah.
But he's out with a broken leg or something like that, right?
I don't know. I don't really, because I don't keep up with AEW.
Brandon Banks let us
enough trouble keeping up with. Yeah, I'm having enough trouble keeping up with WWE at the moment.
Fuck, the only Raws I watch right now, Glenn, are the 1998 ones that I watch with you at this point. So.
Yes, that is a shame. That is a real shame. They just pulled the plug on it, haven't they? That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very aggravating because I used to be. I mean, I didn't really watch Raw or SmackDown week to week anyway. But like, if I wanted to turn it on and see something, it was nice. But I guess I could always find if I hear something cool happen, I could always find it on YouTube. So
yes, yeah,
go that way. But the first match from this show was the Rock and Faarooq taking on Ken Shamrock and Steve Blackman. So after weeks of Steve Blackman beating up nations of the members of the Nation of Domination on his own, he just chose to get a tag team partner to help him this week. What did you think about this match?
Here we go. This is in my good column. Basically, Ken Shamrock, for the first, really showed what a good wrestler he's becoming. I've got the usual Nation ending, but Shamrock beating up the Rock at the made me forgive the fact that. Can you still hear me? All right.
Yeah, no, you're good. I was just trying to make it so I wasn't frozen anymore.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, it was you that froze that time. Yeah, Shamrock beating up the Rock at the end. It sort of made me forget the fact that it was just another standard, the Nation of Domination getting all in the ring and beating up their opponents. So I quite enjoyed it as an opener.
I actually agree with you on this one, Glenn. I did think this was a good opening match. I mean, Shamrock was super over with the crowd, so the crowd was really into it, which was nice. And I noticed during this match, like we've seen The Rock do the people's elbow, I think, on numerous occasions by this point, but they had not referred to it as the people's elbow until this episode because Kevin Kelly informs that The Rock is now wants everyone to refer to this as the people's elbow. So now not only does he do it, but it also has a name now. So
good. Yes. That's a good step in the right direction.
This was also there's like a running theme throughout this show where we get like technical difficulties where like the screen will flash or it'll like go to like a fucking snowy picture or whatever, or the lights will flicker or all that.
You see, I'm wondering about this because they've done it since Bray Wyatt and the Fiend, and now they're doing it again with the Wyatt Six. The original Spooky Man is back around. So. I'm wondering how much he had to do with this sort of all this technical nonsense.
Well, I'm sure we'll find out. Yeah, so we got some of that in this match. It was less than 5 minutes, but like Glenn said, I thought it had good action in it. I thought the DQ finish didn't really bother me as much, even though it's like your standard Nation finish, and we do bitch about that a little bit. I like that they're kind of beating them up after the match. The Rock gets a bit too cocky. He makes Faarooq kind of leave the ring. And Faarooq takes all the Nation members with him.
I thought Faarooq was brilliant there. Just standing at the top of the ring, looking, shaking his hair. I told you.
Right, like you wanted it alone, so that's what you get, yeah.
Yeah.
Because eventually Shamrock turns it around. Obviously, he starts beating The Rock, puts him in the ankle lock, like on the floor, and the rest of the nation like wants to help The Rock, but Faarooq's telling him no, and eventually they all just head to the back. So yeah, I know. I thought it was a really good way to kick off the show. I always like it when it starts with a match because so much of this era starts with like a promo in the ring. So it's always like a breath of fresh air when you actually get a match to start the show. So
yeah, thank God they didn't start with the next bit, which was Triple H with that very boring promo.
Yeah, Triple H in this era, his promos are kind of all the same.
Thankfully, Shawn Michaels came in. God knows where he was, but he was supposed to be somewhere else. But
wherever he was at, it looked really cool because he was like drinking a beer, but like all the bar, it was like a bar, and all the tables looked like they were air hockey tables. And I was like, oh, that looks fucking cool. I was like, I want to play air hockey.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
it looks like a lot of fun in there. So. Yeah, they talk about, Mike Tyson joining DX, and they talk about how Shawn Michaels says that wasn't the best part. The best part's when I super kicked Austin at the end of the show.
Yeah.
He calls him a fat. He said he's always going to be the WWF champion. I thought it was a good promo from Michaels, not so much from China. From Hunter, not China. China didn't say anything. She just stood there.
Yeah.
And then they joined the commentary for the next match, which is Barry Windham versus Owen Hart for the European Championship, because apparently anybody and everybody gets to challenge for the European title now.
But I'm glad they gave Owen a decent opponent.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, they gave him a guy who could actually go. Actually, I wrote in my notes, like think of the match at like classic Barry Windham from like the late 80s versus an Owen Hart from like a 94, 95 era. They could have fucking blown the roof off of the building. Those two.
God, yes. Barry's a bit slower by 98, but he can still go a bit. Again, for what we get wrestling-wise in this time frame, these are two good opening matches.
Yeah. See, like for me, I wouldn't say that this was bad or ugly. But I don't think it was good either. It was just kind of there for me. And then we get our second screw job finish of the night, which is something that we're going to get a lot in this. And that's maybe why I didn't like the show as much as you. But like you said, it was a solid match. It just ended in a count out. When, China blows Owen.
Whether China last week actually meant to hit Owen as well as Mark Henry, we will never know. But she did make up for it this week.
Yeah, because no doubt she was aiming for Owen this week, no question. So after the match, Bradshaw hits and starts beating up on Wyndham. An okay.
Big boot. Yeah, and it's doing what it needs to do. It's putting over better than Hunter Hearst Helmsley ever could the feud between him and Owen Hart.
You're right about
WrestleMania.
That I can't disagree with. Which is something that they hadn't really done, in the probably 2 weeks prior to this, because last week was pretty good at it too, was telling stories leading into WrestleMania. They didn't even do a good job at the pay-per-view, the one pay-per-view before WrestleMania, No Way Out, of stories going into WrestleMania. And so I'm glad to see, like, the last couple of weeks that's kind of changed, and they're doing a better job of that. We then see Paul Bearer with Kane. They're in a locker room. He doesn't want to talk about the Undertaker, but then like the drawers in there start like opening and shutting.
This made me laugh.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Especially with Jerry Lawler being so shit scared of Kane.
Yeah, and then like the way like Lawler's facial expressions as he's looking around.
Yeah.
And then of course Bear and Lawler end up running out of the room while Kane's looking around confused. So then we go to Aguilar with Takamichi Noku taking on Brian Christopher, who's got his daddy with him.
Yes. Shane Kane didn't take out his daddy. Because this is going to... Sorry. No, you go.
No, you're fine. I was just going to make a stupid joke, so you go first.
If Kane had taken out Jerry Lawler, we wouldn't have had another dodgy finish, and this could have been a decent match.
Yeah, because, I mean, it was a good match. It was a fun match. It was high-flying. It was fast-paced at times. Have you ever seen the movie Titanic, Glenn?
Yes.
And the lady at the beginning starts to tell the story about when she was on the Titanic, and she goes, "It's been 84 years. That's how long I feel like Taka Michinoku and Brian Christopher have been feuding for 84 years."
4 years. Yeah, it does.
And I just want it to stop. It makes my head hurt. No disrespect to Brian Christopher. Like, I like Grandmaster Sexay, but like, this whole thing just don't work for me, and I'm over it, and I want it to be done with.
My only note really from this was it was a half decent, like heavyweight, cruiserweight, or whatever they call it, a match.
Yeah,
which was botch free, which is very rare that we get a totally botch free match with the lighter guys.
Yeah, unfortunately, the WWE guys don't seem to be as in ring sound as the guys they had in WCW back in the 90s.
No.
Yeah, because I mean the match was fine, and I don't have any problem with the match. I even did list this as good because of the match. Obviously, the King gets involved. He pulls Aguilar off the top rope, which leads to another DQ finish. Aguilar wins by DQ. After the match, Brian Christopher starts attacking him before Taka drop kicks him off the top. Off of the apron on Jerry the King Lawler. So yeah, I know. I thought this was good because the match was. I thought the match was at least fun.
And then this had so much going on that I actually gave up trying to take notes on it. I just got Steve Austin's shenanigans, a taste of things to come. Good use of time with Vince because it was a long old segment.
Yeah, he did say a lot. He basically, so they've been talking all night about, Austin's going to show up to the arena and he's really not in a very good mood. So they show him arriving at the arena and he doesn't waste any time. He goes straight from arriving to the arena straight out to the ring. He doesn't even use the ramp. He goes around the ramp. They don't even play his music.
Yeah.
Which they would never do that nowadays. You'd never have somebody going to the ring without their fucking music played because apparently that's breaking the fourth fucking wall or something.
Steve Austin doesn't need music. As soon as people see that bald head made into the ring, then they know shit's going to happen.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. So they say you assume that Austin's going to be mad because Mike Tyson has joined DX, but that's not the case. He is pissed because last week Vince McMahon introduced Mike Tyson as the baddest man on the planet. He says that is disrespectful to him. He's insulted him, and he's not going to allow it anymore. So he wants Vince McMahon to come down to the ring, not now, but right now.
Yeah, and we get everybody back.
Yeah.
They empty out the old people's home.
Yeah, the funniest part about this is they send the security guys down, and the security guys are 5 people, right? 4 of the guys are about 2-3 inches taller than Hornswoggle, maybe, if on a fucking good day, if they were in high heels, right? These guys were fucking short. And one guy was fucking like 7.
That's exactly it.
So they weren't doing shit to Steve. And I think you would have said, look here, Pops, you better get your walker before you're about to do anything to me.
Yeah. He did.
So yeah, finally Vince does come out, and he tells them, you insulted me for the last time because you're trying to provoke me by calling him the baddest man on the planet. Vince says it's just a figure of speech, and then Austin flips him the bird and says that's a figure of speech. He then rips McMahon's pocket from his suit jacket. He eventually challenges Vince to a fight, but Vince won't fight him. He eventually says either hit me or get the hell out of the ring. He does a 10 count before Vince leaves. And I mean, this was probably the best moment on the show. I don't think there's anything better than it.
No. This shows that how Austin is carrying the Attitude Era at this time, because the one show that he wasn't on was absolutely diabolical.
Yeah,
and also we know what it's building to, which we didn't know watching it the first time around. But now you can see all the hints and everything. The crowd understanding that they're starting to get Mr. Muck booing him, cheering the heel and booing the owner of the company.
The laying the ground stages for what we're going to see, from 1998 until fucking the end of time. The hatred of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Mr. McMahon. The next match was going to be the Quebecers taking on Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie. I thought the Quebecers looked pretty fucking good in this match. That looked like a well-oiled tag team. I know you didn't expect me to say that, but they were pretty good.
It was all right for about 30 seconds. Again, this is more telling the story towards WrestleMania with the new Age Outlaws coming out. Chainsaw Charlie taking a chair to the back of the head for a billy gun.
But yeah, I thought it was a decent, entertaining.
All right. Again, for what we got, it was in that way. You're actually being more positive about this than I thought you were going to be after the comment you made earlier.
I guess now that I go back and read my notes, maybe I liked it a little more than I thought I did. Maybe it's because when you messaged me this morning, I was watching Goldust versus Mark Marrow, and I was annoyed.
Yeah. That wasn't bad. One of my one and only really bad from this is whoever it was decided to give Mike Tyson a mic. Let the man do his talking with his fists and his actions. For fuck's sake, don't let him talk.
I thought, like, at first he was okay when they were talking to him, like, when he was explaining, like, when they asked him, like, what was going on, like, what the Royal Rumble, you look like you were having a good time, that you were a Stone Cold Steve Austin fan, and he was talking about how Austin disrespected him, how he wouldn't take that from anybody. I thought he was good then, but then, like, at the end of it, when he tried to, like, turn on, like, whatever heel persona he was trying to turn on, that felt really bad and very, very forced.
Yeah.
And it's weird because, especially back in this time, Mike Tyson was like, people hated Mike. And he was like a real hated person. So it was weird to see him try to turn on a heel persona. And
he was scary. He literally was. Yeah. And again, it's down to the fact that as soon as he opens, it totally belies how the man looks. We get used to seeing wrestlers that are built like Mike Tyson, like, and he goes,
but I wouldn't say it to his face.
No. I wouldn't say anything to his face. I'd be too busy running away.
I'd be like, hit me. I'll fucking sue you. I wouldn't do that because I'm not a I'll sue you type of person. But yeah, so I mean that wasn't good either. But this part was pretty cool. It's Kane and Paul Bearer come down to the ring. They're talking about Undertaker came back next week. They said they tried to do him a favor by sending him to the dark side. He should have remained in the dark side with his parents. But he's back now because it's going to get hotter and hotter, and Taker's going to step into the inferno. But just then the lights go out, and then they come back up. The Undertaker's in the ring, but then the lights go out again, and then he's gone.
And he's disappeared. And he's gone. Which makes me think all the shenanigans with the power of the lights earlier on was the Undertaker behind it.
I mean, I had a good feeling.
They're creating this before him and Kane get it on at WrestleMania. They're creating this really. It was good spooky stuff from the Undertaker. That's all we say about that, really.
Yeah, it was cool. It was definitely cool. It'll be interesting to see what keeps happening going forward because I'm sure we'll see more of this as we go.
I do remember that. Yeah, it does. It goes right up now for the next couple of weeks. That things keep happening.
Yeah. It's funny because I think a lot of this stuff I watched and I thought, the match wasn't good, and so I thought maybe that's why it was bad. Because a lot of this stuff, I rail on the matches a little bit in my notes, but at the end, I end up giving it a good rating because it told a good story going into WrestleMania. Because even this Goldust Mark Marrow, which I told you I was annoyed watching, I rated it as good because it told a good story going into WrestleMania. So
it did exactly, and that's what I've got from it as well. It's probably the best that we've seen. It's dragging on. It's a bit like with the whole thing. They're filling weeks with the same rubbish. Mark Marrow and Goldust has been going on and on and on and on and on. But they're finally telling the story that we need before the mixed tag match.
I mean, I think in the last couple of weeks they've made it more about Luna versus Sable than Goldust and Mark Marrow, which is. That's what the people really want. I mean, that nobody really cares. You take Luna, you take Sable out of this equation, nobody cares about any of this. So,
No,
and that's
it's all to do with Sable.
Crowd reactions. You can see that's what everybody cares about. Yeah. So like while they're wrestling, of course, the two ladies are handcuffed to the ring post, but they get a ref bump, and then they take the key from the ref, and he unlocks Luna, who she then goes over and just like smears crazy makeup all over Sable's face to humiliate her. More to set up a mixed tag team match at WrestleMania. So I did give that a good rating, and I'm probably gonna have to give this show 2 thumbs up at the end, even though I don't think I want to. Another thing that I'm looking at in this, like, some of these stories might not be for me, but the fact that they're actually laying out a good story, I have to say it's good, because I can't look at it and just go, well, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a good story. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's,
and that's why I said to you beforehand is that we looked at this show through completely different eyes. And I don't know how, but I see, as you've read your notes, you seem to come around to my way of thinking. I thought we were going to be a loggerheads over this.
No, you drug me over like the 4. Actually, it's funny because I really thought I didn't like the show, but now that I'm looking at my notes, I liked it a lot more than I thought that I did. Maybe I was just grumpy this morning.
Even main event, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
Triple H gets Salvia Vega. You go, oh, for fuck's sake, how's that the main event? But the match lasted all of 30. This is the one that lasted all of 30 seconds. Because Austin, again, causing a no contest, stunning everybody that he possibly can. And then HBK coming out, giving Austin sweet chin music. It just perfect storytelling and building towards what's probably going to be the main event at WrestleMania.
I mean, I don't see how it can't be with Mike Tyson being the enforcer. Yeah, because the whole night they're telling us that Shawn Michaels is so he throws up at the end and super kicks Austin, which is a good way. And then I like the cliffhanger at the end of the show because it looks like they're about to take Austin's head off the chair, and that's how the show goes off the air. So, a really good way to end the show.
It went dark.
Yeah. And I also like that before the Triple H Savio Vega match, they kind of told the story of like the Los Maricos aren't happy with DX right now because they've done some things for them and maybe DX hasn't paid up. So I liked that aspect of it too, because we've seen them work together. So it wouldn't make sense while they're having a match together because they've been working together so much. But when you add that to it.
Yeah. Summing up, really, I've just got as my last note is the best Raw of the year so far, building good stories to WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean I think you're about. I think I liked last week's a little bit better than this week. But yeah, this week was obviously from reading the notes a lot better than I thought it was this morning when you messaged me about it. So yeah, I'll say 2 thumbs up for this one. So it was a pretty good show with some good story.
This 2 thumbs up from me as well. What I will say about this week over last week was there's actually more wrestling in this week.
I don't remember. I'd have to go and look because I literally don't remember I don't even remember who wrestled last week. I remember the Undertaker came back last week. That's all I remember. That's all I got.
Anyway, while we were watching Raw, what was going on?
Let's look at the TV ratings for this week. Nitro went up from last week. They were at a 4.81 last week. They went to a 4.94, so almost a 5 rating for Nitro. Raw went down from a 3.76 to a 3.60, so slightly down for Raw. And let's see about the matches that were on Nitro. Here we go. We have last week I read you the wrong results, Glenn. So
all right.
Everything that I read you last week took place this week. I remember because I remember telling you the first match was the Cat defeated Damien.
Yes. Yeah. And I said that can't be Demento.
No.
So we've got deja vu here.
The funny thing is, Damien, it sounds like something you would name your cat too, which is the weird part about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd read the results to you again, but we read them last week, so I'm not going to do it again.
No, don't need.
I'm not going to do it again. But I'm glad I watched Raw anyway, just because I don't want to watch Damien versus the Cat.
No.
But yeah, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Glenn, who do you want to plug before we get out of here?
I'm booking the territory with Dan and Rob, doing first and last of wrestling, and their little side projects. I'm stacking the territory, the road to Wembley for 1981 for Big Daddy and Giant Haystacks, and the most watched wrestling match of all time. Being the elite Gator Golf. Gator Golf Club's been put away. They've just finished up Series 2 in the clubhouse doing all sorts of nonsense, building towards Series 3 once they're finished with the latest lot unstacking the Dadatory. And of course, I'm booking the Tankatory, the life and times of Tank Abbott, and the parent, shall we say, of I don't know shit. Looking at it, basically, we ripped their idea off with Sid for what they were doing with Tank Abbott. But go and follow them on the ex Twitter, Unstacking the Tankatory, and you will get tons of tank facts that I couldn't even remember any of at the moment.
No.
And of course,
the Doctor Who podcast with Danny Inside. It's on SJP World Media. I got it this time.
And DDT Wrestling with DC and Doc.
Make sure you give all those fine people and podcasts to listen to and a follow. And of course, give the other member of our podcast team, the Mayor of Canton, a follow on Twitter. He does a meal with the mayor every Wednesday where he tries new fast food items so he can tell you how delicious or how non-delicious they are. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you like this show, then make sure you check out the show Glenn just talked about, which is I Don't Know Shit, The Life and Times of Psycho Sid, where we go back and watch promos and matches from the career of Psycho Sid. If that's not good enough for you, then I don't know what the fuck is ever going to be good enough for you. Check that out. And of course, we got another episode of Walking in Memphis where we watch Memphis wrestling, and we watched the Wimp Busters, Jerry the King Lawler diss track against Jimmy Hart. And yes, it's as bad as it sounds. So
it was.
That's actually on YouTube right now because I didn't tell you in the mayor this, but we did that live on YouTube last night. I just didn't tell you guys.
Oh, great.
That's on YouTube right now. Go ahead and give it a watch. And it'll be on your favorite podcast app coming up this weekend. So there you go. That's it. That's all. I got nothing else to say. The only thing left to say is for Glenn to say goodbye.
Goodbye.